Lane splitting. It's that thing we all want to do, but some of us live in shithole countries that don't let us do it. Many people like myself have been waging a guerrilla war for years for the ability to ride like people do in freedom-loving countries, like China. The bastion of freedom that is China. Not at all repressive. Don't look at that. Don't talk about that. That guy, with the legalization of lane splitting in Utah in 2019 and Montana in 2020, it feels like we've hit a tipping point though. A sort of Battle of Gettysburg for lane splitting advocates. We've got the data on our side with the 2015 UC Berkeley study. We've got momentum on our side with Montana and Utah legalizing lane filtering. If we can rally more soldiers to our cause and make a sustained effort, we can get at least filtering passed in most states very soon. And this is government, so by very soon I mean in like the next 5 years, maybe? If we want that, there's a lot of work to be done. So to try to help anyone like myself who's looking to push their state to prioritize these bills, I want to spend this video giving you the broader context of where each state is in their own battle. I'm Alex, and I don't know if I am ever going to get this stunt subcage installed on my WR250X over here, but I do lane split all the time here in Seattle. So here's some squid tips for getting lane splitting or filtering legalized in your area. Stay tuned. For this tour, let's start in the states with the least progress made so far. I'm not going to list them out with my mouth here because my videos are already longer than they need to be. You can see them on the screen here somehow, probably a scroll or something. I don't plan that far ahead. If your state's listed here, I couldn't find any records of lane splitting or filtering bills being even submitted to your local legislature. Now, hopefully you remember enough Schoolhouse Rock to know that to change a law, it first needs to be presented formally as a bill to the state government.
Who left all this garbage on the steps of Congress?
I'm not garbage. I'm an amendment to be.
If that hasn't happened, then you need to get a bill drafted and submitted. The best place to start that is by contacting your local legislators and letting them know you want to see some legislation created to legalize lane splitting or filtering. If you don't know who your legislators are, then find your state government webpage and poke around. Or just fucking Google it. Look, I can't do everything for you. Alternatively, you could go try to partner up with one of your local motorcycle clubs. Maybe there's an ABATE chapter near you, and see if they've already tried to push something like that. And then you just join up with them and help them pave the road. If you get a hold of your legislators and they're not really sure how to start crafting the law, then just link them to the California, Montana, and Utah bills. A little copy pasta and voila, you've got something that's at least good enough to submit. The real fun starts once you submit a bill to the legislature, which brings us to the meat of this video.
I am an official member of a task force dedicated to slashing the city budget. Just saying that gave me a semi.
There are a number of states that have submitted bills, but they never make it out of committee. Let's do another Schoolhouse Rock refresher here. After the bill's submitted, someone at your government looks at it, and then usually it's sent to a smaller group that specializes in the specific type of legislative issue for your state. These are called committees, and there are several common committees that every state has, and their focus is usually pretty obvious from the name. Education, energy, health, all pretty clear on what type of shenanigans is going down in there, and it's not motorcycle traffic laws. Usually, the committee that these are going to be routed to first will be the Transportation Committee, in charge of all things moving around on the roads, ports, and air. Now there's like a lot of bills submitted each year. So many that it's impossible to give each of them enough time to be debated, modified, and passed. There is a head of each committee who decides which bill will come up for discussion, and so the most common way filtering bills die is they simply are never put on the agenda. Once it finally gets on the agenda, that's when the fun starts. That's when the state might ask the committee to do a formal analysis on the bill, or commission a study on the potential results of the bill. And at that point, they might be inviting comments from the public, and then you can go testify on behalf of the bill. But then there might be other public organizations, such as your Department of Transportation, that'll comment too, or private lobbying groups. Everybody gets in on the fun. So now that we understand what committees do and the general process, let's go take a look at each state that has at least submitted a bill to a committee and see how far they've gotten.
This is my hometown of Casa Grande, which if you don't speak Spanish, that actually means victim of the housing crisis.
Arizona HB 2285 of 2020 was sponsored by Republican Noel Campbell, who decided not to run again in 2020. RIP. This is a bill that would allow motorcycles to filter on roads with speed limits below 45 miles an hour, as long as they did it safely and not faster than 15 miles an hour. It was sent to the Transportation Committee, who then referred it to the Public Safety Committee, then the Rules Committee, and back to the House, where it died without a vote.
Oh, hey, man. Oh, you like my suit? Most functional vehicle out there. I got almost 300,000 miles on this one. To be honest, though, it's not half as many miles as I have on my Chacos.
Colorado's last attempt at a lane splitting bill was HB 16-1205 in 2016. That's where the 16 comes from in the HB 16. Also, the HB is from House bill. It was submitted in the House first. SB is for Senate bill. That's where the SB is. This stuff is not rocket surgery if you take like 5 minutes to look at it. This bill was sponsored by 2 Republicans, Gordon Klingenschmidt, and John Cook. Definitely John Cook. It was an incredibly milquetoast filtering bill, and only allowed splitting in sub 5 mile per hour traffic with a maximum speed of the motorcycle at 15 miles an hour. The Transportation Committee sent this bill to the Appropriations Committee, I guess, to review the cost of implementation, where they voted to suspend the bill indefinitely. Womp womp.
All right, new video this morning. Move over, Frosty the Snowman. You have some company. A New Haven man turned to designing an inauguration snowman of Senator Bernie Sanders.
Connecticut Senate Bill 629 of 2019 is so simple to explain that I'm just going to read you the whole thing. That Section 14-289B of the General Statutes be amended to permit the operator of a motorcycle to operate between lanes of traffic. That's it. That's the whole fucking thing. The simplicity of this bill might seem awesome, but it was referred to the Transportation Committee, and then nothing. I don't know if the bill's sponsors expected the Transportation Committee to figure out the details, or if they were just trying to garner some support from local motorcyclists, or maybe they actually thought it would pass just like that. This is a very important detail that you should keep in mind. A commonality with the states that have passed filtering bills is that they came to the table with fully fleshed out ideas. So I expect that's what has to happen for a bill in Connecticut or anywhere else to move forward.
You folks are all native Hawaiians too?
Yes, my wife Patty and I have been coming to Kauai for almost 5 years. And Bill and Donna actually own a timeshare in Poipu.
Yes, but Poipu is getting pretty overrun with tourists, I'm afraid.
Hawaii hasn't made a real attempt at a lane splitting bill per se, but they did pass HB 2589 in 2018, which allows the Hawaii Department of Transportation to designate streets where motorcycles can ride on the shoulder. This amendment is pretty complicated actually, and there are a lot of restrictions, but any progress should be seen as an absolute win. The hardest part about these lane splitting bills is getting your foot in the door. And this is really more of like a big toe in the door, but it means that resistance to a filtering bill might have softened since then.
Are those fireworks? Huh, maybe they're doing a show at Navy Pier. Wait, why are people running? Wait, what?
Illinois. Fucking Illinois. So, reading about Illinois' attempt at lane splitting legalization sincerely pissed me off. Play a game at home here as I give you some of the details and see if you can catch what led to the failure here. I'm really angry about this, but I want you to have fun. So I'm going to put a little point value on the screen, and whenever you figure it out, that's how many points you get. Okay? The last time Illinois tried to legalize lane splitting was with SB 2439, all the way back in 2007. That is way before the first state had ever legalized lane splitting, California, and years before there would be any data that clearly demonstrating that filtering is not an unsafe practice. Let me read to you 2 relevant paragraphs of what changes were proposed. Motorcycles, lane usage. A person may in a safe and prudent manner during periods of traffic congestion operate a motorcycle between lanes of traffic or between adjacent lines or rows of vehicles. The operator and every passenger of a motorcycle, motor-driven cycle, or motorized pedal cycle must wear a helmet, and every passenger therein shall be protected by glasses, goggles, or a transparent shield. Now, I've already given examples of legislation that is being proposed and failing in other states that is so much more restrictive than this. There's no speed restrictions. There's almost no restrictions on what roads it can be done on. This bill is one of the most generous bills for motorcycles that I've seen proposed in the United States. This bill was passed around committees for nearly a month, but not pointlessly like most bills, just kind of punting it from one to the other until somebody actually decides to kill it. This one was getting amendments and the language cleaned up. It was on a path to get a full vote in their Senate. Did you figure it out what the poison pill was and who lobbied against it? Pencils down, I'm going to give you the answer. I found this one-page summary of achievements from the motorcycle advocacy group Abate, where they brag about how their opposition to SB 2439 helped protect the freedoms of motorcyclists. That's right, this bill failed because motorcyclists advocated against it. I do not know a single rider other than me who has ever expressed interest in even occasionally riding without a helmet. But apparently in Illinois, there were far more riders willing to tank this bill that allowed them to split lanes almost anywhere for the freedom to have an all-you-can-eat bug buffet every time they ride in the highway. If you live in Illinois, actually fuck it. If you live anywhere and you prefer to have the option to ride without a helmet to being able to flexibly ride around and through traffic, can you please leave a comment explaining to me why? I sincerely want to understand because I'm mad at you, but I don't want to be. Also, you should subscribe. I want it, I love it. So that's what happened in Illinois. Since then, there has been no real attempt to try to legalize forms of splitting, probably because the legacy of this bill's failure to compromise. Y'all need to get your shit together and figure out what your priorities are going to be before you take another stab at this.
All right, where do you want this? Mother... Ow! What the Kevin? See you later, Kevin. See you tomorrow, face. Hope a robot doesn't burn your fucking house down.
The situation in Massachusetts was a little hard to suss out because there wasn't much in the way of press or information I could gather that precisely nailed down what is happening. So I may be off on the specifics. Let me know if so. In 2017, SB 1947 was introduced based on a petition from someone in the public and was unsponsored by any legislator. The bill was written to the exact specifications of the UC Berkeley study's findings, and so proposed allowing lane filtering in slow or stop traffic on roads with speed limits of 50 miles per hour or less and not to exceed 50 miles per hour above the speed of traffic. It was referred to the Transportation Committee, who slapped it together with a bunch of other traffic-related bills, like almost 20 or so, and created an order to make an investigation and study of certain current state documents relative to transportation matters. You might parse that language and foolishly think, as I did before looking more into it, that this order to study means that there would be a whole series of studies commissioned by the state government to assess the bills, maybe create their own data around lane splitting safety. But that sounds great to me. I am very confident that will just back up the UC Berkeley studies. You gotta remember, this is government, so everything is using trumped up language to make it sound more formal and important than it actually is. In order to study just means that instead of making a decision to move forward, everyone just gets to go home and think about it for as long as they want, and maybe someday it will be brought back up, which basically never happens. This bill just died in committee with extra steps.
Explore our vast collection of books before we burn them all, and fish in the quiet solitude of knowing that you've been left behind by history. Visit Mississippi, we're even worse than North Carolina.
Mississippi's 2016 HB 532 was a very conservative lane filtering bill that died in committee, and there really isn't much else to say about it. One interesting thing is that it had some specifics around enforcing car drivers to yield to motorcycles when merging into traffic, which is less common to see in these bills than you might hope. One thing unrelated to lane splitting you should be petitioning for if you live in Mississippi, though, is more transparency and better digital record keeping. I actually couldn't find the details of this bill hosted anywhere but third-party websites, which is very behind the times. Almost every state government website I dug through for information had recorded videos of every meeting they have, and it's publicly accessible without an account or anything. And I couldn't even get the text of this bill proposed just 5 years ago in Mississippi's dogshit state site. That's really bad. You should demand better from your local government. Boy, if they can't put a website together, I bet their education system's phenomenal.
First of all, I gotta just say this. I mean, New Hampshire, this state's friggin' crazy. It really is. It's the only state in the country without a mandatory seatbelt law. You take that live free or die thing a little too friggin' serious.
I found references to a proposed bill in New Hampshire on sites like ADV Writer, but the few direct links to the bill were dead, so it may as well never existed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I do feel good about this. This is great. You know, the streets of Reno are a lot safer because of what we did today. Because of what our accomplishment of what we did in Reno, we made the streets that much better for us.
Nevada's proposed lane filtering bill, AB 236, was interesting in that it was so clearly modeled off the conclusions of the 2015 UC Berkeley study. Except it was proposed 3 years before that study was published. I think that's actually a really good indicator that the people who lane split develop an intuition on what speeds and conditions it could be done safely under. There was actually like a lot of coverage of this bill on the web relative to any other random state lane filtering bill. There was video recordings and analysis of the arguments from both pro and con. This was like a decade ago, so I feel like that probably means that a lane splitting bill proposed today, after the Berkeley study and 2 other states legalized similar bills, could breeze right to the governor's desk.
Rhode Island, aka Hollywood. I mean, Dumb and Dumber was filmed here. And like so many more. There's so, you walk, oh, what is this, from the movie?
Rhode Island introduced a filtering bill in 2020, H 7758, that stated a rider can filter in traffic traveling at 10 miles per hour or less, cannot ride faster than 10 miles per hour of the pace of surrounding traffic, and must merge back in as soon as traffic moves at faster than 10 miles an hour. I gotta hand it to them for trying to reduce confusion with the whole 10-10-10 theme. There was also provision to cancel it a year later, which was odd and maybe a sign that the sponsors didn't have much confidence in the safety of what they were proposing. This bill got shuffled over to the Judiciary Committee for some reason, only to be put onto permanent timeout.
Poor child don't know what to do. Sweeping it like a broom. What the fuck, bro?
In 2016, fresh on the heels of the UC Berkeley study, Texas proposed SB 288, which legalized filtering on limited access or controlled access highways. This died in the Transportation Committee, like most of the bills as you were no doubt expecting at this point. This bill was resurrected in 2019, effectively unchanged from HB 1270, and it was, say it with me now, referred to the Transportation Committee to die. Here's another lesson to synthesize. If a bill instantly dies in committee, then it needs to be changed in some way if you want it to pass. Do not just resubmit the same damn thing over and over and over again.
Phil McCracken, Salk, Sook, Mahidic, Ophelia McHawk, Eileen Dover, Don Kiddick, Aaron Sorkin.
Virginia's HB 1236, introduced in 2020, is a filtering bill that at this point you can probably guess about what it looks like. The simple summary is that it's a splitting bill restricted to at least a 2-lane highway with traffic going no faster than 10 miles an hour and a motorcycle not exceeding 20 miles per hour. This one actually went to a subcommittee. Apparently Virginia has a motor vehicle subcommittee. That's neat. That subcommittee came to a 3-3 vote to proceed, which apparently is a failure. Another lesson, you gotta build strong support for the bill before it's submitted if you wanted to have a chance to pass. All right, we are coming to the end with the last 2 states, which have at least had bills make it out of committee and get some sort of vote. Let's first talk about my home state, Washington.
Joe Beelar believes in the existence of Bigfoot.
My specialty is putting out offerings. If you come back and there's something laying there where that apple was, then probably it was one of our barefoot friends.
There have been a number of attempts to legalize lane splitting or filtering in Washington, including a bill that I testified for not too long ago.
The reason why we can't support this bill is it's simply not safe.
Alex, Mako.
The best data available today indicates that motorcycle techniques legalized by SB 5622 are not unsafe relative to the risk of every motorcycle rider is taking by getting on the bike.
Now that bill is dead on committee at this point, but I am undeterred, and I'll probably spend a later video talking about all of that. But a previous bill actually made it farther. The closest a bill got to passing in Washington State was 2017, SB 5378, which was a filtering bill that allowed motorcycles to travel at 10 miles per hour greater than the surrounding traffic and not to exceed 25 miles per hour. It also restricted the practice to roadways with 2 or more lanes each direction that are separated by some sort of physical barrier. Basically just I-5 and some smaller highways. It also had some language on allowing motorcycles to use the shoulder during construction and making it an infraction for a car to purposely impede a motorcycle filtering. So, a pretty comprehensive and conservative bill. This bill spent a month going through committees until it received a passing vote in the state Senate, which, as you can see now, getting a vote is extremely uncommon. So, getting a passing vote is a massive victory. From there, it was sent to the House, where it also needs to be passed before it can get to the governor's desk for final approval. And it was sent to the House's Transportation Committee for review. The head of the House Transportation Committee at the time was a woman by the name of Judy Clybourne, pictured here at one of the committee meetings. Judy sat on it for a month and a half and then sent it back to the Senate Rules Committee. Why did she do this?
I see a very serious injury collision or potentially a death.
The Washington State Patrol doesn't support a change in law.
Have I responded to collisions for unsafe lane changes? A lot. And now you introduce the motorcycle into that.
In a statement from Representative Judy Clybourne, who heads up the House Transportation Committee, she sides with the State Patrol. Reports prepared by nonpartisan Senate staff clearly show that State Patrol and Traffic Safety Commission testified against lane-splitting legislation. I share their concerns about safety on our roads.
Now that's disappointing because she's saying she doesn't support it. But what's really frustrating about that is that she's basically saying that if the Traffic Safety Commission and the State Patrol don't support it, then it shouldn't even be discussed. Judy represented Washington State's 41st District, which is also known as the rich motherfucker area. It's the part where Bellevue and Redmond exist in, where all the Lambos are and all the fucking white rich motherfuckers live. Maybe the constituents of the 41st District appreciated that, but everyone else in the state fucking didn't. Isn't it amazing that our government is set up so that a single person can fuck over an issue for the entire state? Wow, what a great country. Now this is not verified, but I did read a letter someone sent to their local news organization editor, which recalled an unofficial statement Judy made about her perspective on the bill. Let me read a snippet from that letter. It seems that Clybourne finds motorcycles to be intimidating and scary. During the conversation, she told her constituent that her committee members lied when they stated they would request a hearing on Senate Bill 5378. When her constituent asked Clybourne to allow the committee to hear the bill and let the committee vote on the bill, she reportedly responded, "No, I will not waste my time." After being chucked back into the Senate, the bill was placed into the X file. No, not the one where weird shit like aliens goes. Actually, I've never seen what's in there, so maybe that is where the weird shit like aliens goes to. I don't know. The X file is for killing bills. It removes any scheduled discussion about it from committees, which makes sense to do when you have a a roadblock like Judy at the head of a critical committee. The good news for us in Washington is that in 2018, Judy Clybourne died, and what? Oh, sorry. The good news for us in Washington is that in 2018, Judy Clybourne retired, which is just as good as her dying. What? What now? She retired, which is better than her dying. Wink! Oh, that's gonna get me banned too? I can't even do it as a joke. I don't want Judy Clybourne to die. Ever. I want her to be immortal, like a fucking Terminator.
Do you remember the 90s?
Yeah.
You know, people were talking about getting piercings and getting tribal tattoos.
Yeah.
And people were singing about saving the planet and forming bands.
Yeah.
There's a place where that idea still exists as a reality, and I've been there.
Where is it?
Portland.
Oregon?
Yeah.
I know I've been going for a while, but I need to give out a lot of context and then speculate a bit in order to explain how the hell Oregon had a lane splitting bill make it all the way through the Senate, all the way through the House, and get placed on the governor's desk only to be vetoed. I might make a whole video at some point later on because so much effort was put into this bill by legislators, committees, outside organizations. I could literally talk about it for 20 minutes, so I'm only giving you the broad strokes here. SB 574 was a comprehensive bill. It was in line with most conservative speed restrictions, only in traffic traveling at 10 miles per hour or less, and exceeding surrounding traffic by no more than 10 miles an hour. Formal analysis was conducted in the form of revenue, fiscal impact, and open government impact statements. Written summaries were created for the House and Senate members to review before they voted. Amendments were written in. Over 600 people testified on it in one way or another. So much work went into getting this bill to pass both chambers, and it was obviously worth it because this bill passed with bipartisan support. 60% of the Senate supported it, and 70% of the House supported it. And I'm sure at that point, everyone was feeling great, patting each other on the backs in appreciation of all the hard work that they had done. And then, Governor Kate Brown shit all over it. In a statement she wrote to the House and Senate after the veto, she said, I have several concerns with the bill as currently drafted, particularly related to public safety and non-compliance. Many stakeholders, including law enforcement agencies and members of the public, remain concerned that lane filtering is unsafe for both motorcycles and the drivers that share the road, due to serious injuries and death that commonly result from motorcycle-involved accidents. Based on these concerns, I am returning SB 574 unsigned and disapproved. Reading between the lines and integrating the research that I've done so far, I think that law enforcement and insurance companies had private communications with Kate Brown and convinced her not to sign it. Now, the Oregon House and Senate aren't off the hook entirely, because they could have overrode the governor's veto by having a 2/3 vote in each chamber, which, if you remember, they already had 70% in the House and 60% in the Senate, so they literally need to get one more state senator on board. Where do you go from here? Well, you're gonna have to get that governor on board, or get a new governor, but like, only if you disagree with her on other shit too. Don't be one of these people that has like one issue you vote entirely off of. Or if you are, at least make sure it's something more important than lane filtering. This situation was pretty exceptional, so there's no clear path forward, but you were very close. Good luck. So here we are. You now understand exactly where your state is at in the legalization process, and I've even given you ideas on how to make progress. So the next step is on you. We might be turning the corner, but just like with many other reforms that are being attempted in our country, healthcare, policing, racism, transphobia, homophobia, reproductive rights, fucking every little goddamn thing nowadays, it seems like, it takes a long time. And if we get bored and stop advocating for it, that's the moment we lose momentum. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned some stuff. As always, here's my shit. Ride fast, take chances. I'm about to talk a whole bunch, so I'm gonna need to... Did I forget how to drink fucking water?